Okay, welcome back to the Rock and Noel channel. Yes, that's not Steve here tonight, but I got a special guest, and I'm gonna tee up his intro, man, old school '80s style. So, me and Omar, right here of the OZONE Show, know each other locally. Met at a sports bar one day, ended up talking wrestling for an hour or two, and he always said to me, "Man, if you ever get into YouTube, please, I'd be happy to come on." And true to his word, I reached out and said, "Man, I'd love to have you on." And he's here, and we both started since we first met the first time. We both got into YouTube, which is kind of cool, man. So this is Omar, diehard wrestling fan, diehard basketball fan,
Oh
football,
yeah, oh
yeah,
yeah.
covers everything, man. I love it, man. So Omar and I might break off and get into football for a second, or
We
basketball.
might, we might, we might.
Yeah, we don't. The plan is wrestling, but you never know. Here we may go, as The Rock would say, off the script.
Off the script. But you know what, Jeremy, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be on.
Great to have you, man.
It's kind of like this is basically going to be the conversations that we would have in Twin Peaks. You know what I mean? And just a quick intro, like just of how I met Jeremy. I noticed Jeremy was wearing a Fozzy shirt. So I instantly knew, oh, this is a wrestling fan. This is a wrestling fan wearing a Fozzy shirt. Jeremy, this I tell you, like the wrestling community is such a tight knit, bro, because you were leaving. I remember you were leaving, and you're like, no, I'm canceling this Uber. Hold on, let's talk wrestling. Let's talk wrestling.
Right.
And and
you
I think you came. I remember he was like, "Oh man, I gotta go. I'm meeting up with a buddy." And then he called another Uber, and then like I don't know, like it stared, and then like WWE, and then it started with.
I was like, you were like, I don't want to hold you up. I'm like, no.
Yeah. You know, you were talking about your experiences in Jericho Cruise, and you know what I mean. And then you canceled it. So you know it. We're like 2-3 hours in.
Yeah.
You know, but like I said,
John's a heel right now because no one listened to Fozzy if they aren't. It helps with Jericho.
You know what? I forgot that like we're live. So this is the first time, like, because I'll show the Ozone, like, we pre-recorded and we air it. So being on live, like the comment just threw me off. I'm like, oh snap.
Yeah. Careful, man. There's more comments out there. We love them.
Yeah. So
I understand. My friend John's also, he likes to be sarcastic, and a heel. But
yeah,
I get it. Yeah, Fozzy's a mainstream band. I understand Judas went mainstream.
Right.
I thought I was wearing a Jericho Cruise shirt that day.
No, you were definitely wearing a Fozzy shirt.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And definitely a Fozzy shirt.
Cruise. And
then that's when you had mentioned about the Jericho Cruise. But I just wanted to just do a little quick shout out to the greatest wrestler of all time. I am the biggest mark, and I'm clearly wearing it. Bret the Hitman Hart, the greatest wrestler of all time, Jeremy. I don't know if I ever told you that.
I'm sure we've talked about it.
Yeah, the greatest, and it's his birthday. I'm sure it's his birthday. So happy birthday to Bret Hart.
Oh, awesome.
The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
Yeah, after Hulk Hogan, absolutely.
You know what's funny? Those are my two guys. I got a shrine up right here of vintage Bret Hart and
I love Bret though.
Hulk Hogan figures.
I love Bret, and I've got to meet him twice.
So
he was awesome both times.
I know we got a show, and I'm going to ask you that because they always say you never don't meet your heroes, right? You know that saying, like, don't meet your heroes, right? And my wife during the pandemic, she wanted to. This is when when cameos, everybody was doing cameos and that sort of thing, and she was going to get it for me for Bret Hart, and I'm just like, you know what? No, I'd rather not because I don't know if he, I don't know if he's a good guy. And I'm like, I would hate 30 plus years of wrestling to go
in one,
you know what I mean? Because like Bret Hart was the first wrestler I've seen wrestling. That's what got me into wrestling. Yes. Random episode.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, random episode, Monday Night Raw. We're talking maybe 1994-ish. He was the first wrestler I've seen. And the pink and black stood out, and it was just there. Like that's when it started. Like everything Bret Hart was just, ask mom for a leather jacket, ask mom for shades, you know what I mean? Like the whole shtick
with Hulk Hogan
of the Hitman. You know what I mean? And Yeah, like he's been my guy ever since.
You'll like my friend Hart greater.
John's not a heel. John is not a heel.
He just hates Hogan. But no, listen, and you can't. What he did in the ring at his size, he was one of the first. I mean, we might as well pay a little tribute to him right now on his birthday.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. This is your show. I'm sorry. I'm coming. No, but he's paved the way. You hear guys like Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, however you know him from, and those sort of guys that and
Finn Balor, Seth Rollins,
CM Punk, like those guys look like
career to Bret Hart. He says that he's once a week. He calls him the Wayne Gretzky of wrestling.
Hey, I wouldn't argue that. FTR, like look, these guys just always
play the homage to Bret. When Bret Hart, that's how they became a tag team.
Yeah.
Like,
did they?
Dax. They were like, it was recommended they become one, and they weren't sure. And I guess like Dax discovered that Cash loved Bret Hart as much as him, and he didn't think it was possible anyone could love Bret Hart as much as him.
Right.
I mean, you saw he arranged Dax's wife arranged for Bret Hart to show up at his birthday last year.
No, I didn't.
They were in Nashville at a restaurant. Like, hold on, somebody just wants to say hi to you. And he's like, well, who's here? He's thinking it's a fan or somebody.
The Hitman.
And Bret comes in. Hey, how you doing, man? And Bret,
the Hitman.
Bret, he's so cool. I've met him twice.
You know what?
I've read his book several times. I don't know if you've read it.
Yeah, I'm gonna take your word for it. And I'm gonna have to maybe go to a signing or something that he does. If it's any wrestler in the world that I would want to meet, it's him. And if there's any wrestler I don't want to meet, it's Shawn Michaels.
Yes, Shawn Michaels. Man, this is great. This is going great. Shawn Michaels is my number 2 favorite of all time to now one of my most despised.
Look,
after an incident with him at the Fort Lauderdale Convention Center.
Really? Oh no, you can't. What happened?
Oh man, I'll tell you the story. So I had met him a couple times before, and he was okay.
Mm-hmm.
He was there that day for 3 hours, and that's what it was scheduled for. It wasn't like he went under anything. So I had talked to him earlier, and I said, yeah, I met you at the PC one day. It was great. And he's like, okay, whatever. You could tell he didn't want to be there that day.
Big league, and he's very big league-ish.
He just acted in a way he just did not want to be there that day. So I get a pro photo with him, at the conventions when they do the pro photo. And my buddy John, who's in the chat, says, man, Shawn doesn't really have a line right now. Why don't you get that signed too? And I was like, all right, who knows when I'll see him again. So I go back in the line. He's like, and I said, man, have a safe trip back to Orlando. Because he'd been talking about working at the PC, NXT.
Right.
And he got mad at me. He goes, I don't live there anymore. He got really hostile. And me being me, just tried to be nice and smooth it over. And I said,
right.
Okay, cool. Maybe you're back in Texas. Good for you. He points at me and goes, where I go from here is for me to know.
What?
Yeah, and I wanted to slap him. And I walked away. My friend John's a big dude who hates Shawn Michaels. And thank God John walked away because he wanted me to have my moment with him.
Right.
But if John had been closer, you'd have been reading about some stories on Twitter that day. And I walked away stunned. And I remember saying, screw this guy. We know the true story behind him. And he's a scumbag.
Yeah.
I didn't want to where he was okay. He's not the brightest dude.
Doesn't look like it.
The time I met him, I actually got nervous a little bit. And it's not like me.
Right. You've met a lot. Because you've been around a lot of stars.
Yeah, I've met my share.
You've been around a lot. You're being very humble, Jeremy. You're being very humble.
Hey, I was always raised to put on their pants the same way as you.
Right. Yeah.
But Tom was one of those rare dudes that I was like, whoa. And I just said to him, man, I'm just trying to say the right thing to you. Dummy doesn't even realize what I'm trying to say and goes, one thing about the wrestling business, you got a real thick skin. And I'm like, I'm not trying to make fun of you, idiot. So, but he was okay. But yeah, that day I said, and then I talked to a lot of people there who were there as well that day. And they were all like, yeah, he was just a jerk.
It's funny. My best friend and
your buddy Freddy Aras. I want to give you.
That's my brother-in-law. Yeah.
Freddy Aras, shout out Freddy. And my friend John's Logan Paul staying humble. It's like Shawn.
It's funny because my best friend and co-host, super producer Dave is what I coined him. His name is Dave.
Didn't I meet him with you? I'm sorry, didn't I meet him with you one day?
No.
Okay.
You'll meet him one day. He's a great guy.
Awesome.
But he had a very similar experience.
Sorry, Omar's fan club.
A very similar experience with Lita.
Sweetheart.
Well, he had a bad experience with Lita and a great experience with Christian.
I
guess they were both doing a signing,
Mm-hmm.
and he was just like, yo, Christian was just like, he was taking pictures, even if he didn't pay for it, you know, like he was just having conversations and that, and maybe Lita just had a bad day that day, but
I understand
he didn't have such a great experience with Lita.
Right. I understand they're human. They have bad days just like the rest of us. You were there for 3 hours and paid handsomely to be there.
Right.
Like sometimes you gotta suck it up a little bit. And I'm not saying be fake nice, because I can lead right through that, and you can too, being from New York.
Yeah.
But it was just, he was obnoxious. And I remember saying, this guy. I saw Shane Helms on the Jericho Cruise. And Shane, they squashed their beef, I guess, but Shane told stories about Sean in the past. And I went to Shane on the cruise and I said,
he's not one to hold his tongue.
No, he's not. He's probably he's on the
but he still shoots his shots on Twitter.
Not like he
used to, but
he's creative. He can't.
But
when he wasn't in creative, he told the whole story about what Sean did to him one time, and he was like, "Screw you." And if he really wanted to fight him, it would have gone bad for him. And he said, I said to him on the Jericho Cruise, if he wasn't the first one, I said, "Can I shoot with you?"
Right.
And he goes, I said, Shawn Michaels really pissed me off one day, and I saw your interview about him and your match and everything, and how he was a dick to you, and it made me feel better.
Right.
He's like, give him a second chance. Maybe he had a bad day. He's like, yeah, we're talking about my friend John and I met him, met Lita on Bourbon Street, like at WrestleMania 30. Every time I met her, she's been sweet. I guess you never know. They're human.
But maybe was she sipping on grandma and grandpa's medicine? Maybe in Bourbon Street.
Anything's possible. She was about to get into but it's funny. She was with Tommy Dreamer and one other person. Nobody really recognized her.
Really?
And they were all going to Dreamer for pictures and everything.
You know who was probably I haven't met as many as you have. One of the sweetest guys, man, is Miro.
Yes.
Miro, AEW was here a few years ago. I don't know. You might have been there, Jeremy. This might even be before we met, too. They were in James L. Knight.
Yeah.
And James L. Knight is attached to the hotel.
Of course.
So if depending on where you park, you're going through the hotel.
You have to walk past.
I remember seeing like Don Callis checking out and that sort of thing. So I see like this big crowd in front of the hotel. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? They're like, no, Miro was just here. And I'm like, yo, hey, Miro. So he goes to his cab. He goes, give me 1 second, guys. I'm like, oh, he's gonna big leaguers. He's gonna get in the car and leave. No, dropped off his bag. I guess he must have said something to the Uber driver and came right back. And I'm telling you, Jeremy, he chopped it up with all of us for about 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
We spoke for a good maybe 5-6 minutes just about sneakers, because I'm a sneaker guy too. So I'm like telling Miro, like, hey, like, Miro, what's your favorite sneakers? And this and that. The only thing I messed up, right? He was a TNT champion at that time. And I go, I can't wait till you become the world champ. I said, I can't wait till you're the champ. He's like, I'm already a champion. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you're right. World champion. He had a good laugh of it. But
if we did a segment on like the worst wrestlers you ever met, it would be a quick segment for me.
Yeah.
I can't say there's been times where I had a bad interaction. It was just with Sean that one day. He was okay. When I met him, I met him twice before. I met him at WrestleCon in Orlando, and at the PC that one day I got to go as a guest, and like a friend of mine arranged it where we got to go like the behind the scenes day there.
Nice.
But Sean was putting on a corporate attitude that day there. And I get it, but no, everyone has been awesome. I think wrestlers get it.
One last thing, I don't know if you want to move on, but it was just
no, dude. Your show too.
I went to the first Grand Slam. I flew for one night. I went to the first Grand Slam in AEW Grand Slam in New York. That flew in Wednesday morning, obviously Wednesday night, whatever. Thursday morning, I'm in the airport. And you know, a lot of the wrestlers, they live down here, South Florida, whether it's Orlando, wherever, right?
Yeah.
And it's delays. It's delays. I go get a bottle of water. I'm like, okay, go get a bottle of water at one of the airport in the terminal. I run into Andrade and Charlotte Flair. All right. Walking down the hallway. See Adam Cole sitting down there having a couple beers. Look on the other side. It's Ty Conti, Ty Mello, Alistair Black, Malachi Black, or however you, Ruby, Ruby Riott. I'm going all the WWE. And I feel like there was someone else. Yeah, I felt like there was someone else. And I called my wife and I go, babe, I'm like in the airport stuck with like, yeah, that's her now.
Okay, there you go.
Ruby Soho, look, she's correcting me. I'm in the airport with about 8 AEW stars.
Yeah.
And you know what the thing, it's like what we talked about just now, Jeremy. Like these people are human. Yeah. And we were at the airport and I said, you know what? We're all stuck here. Our flights are getting delayed and can't. I'm like, I'm not gonna approach them.
Right.
Like I was, because I'm like, you know what? Like I would hate to like judge them based off them. Honestly, them having a crappy day. I'm having a crappy day too.
Yeah, you know? And you're tired,
like
and you're
we're tired. We're stuck in the airport. So, but that was pretty cool. Like to go, you know, like oh snap! Like look at Adam Cole. Look at this one. Look at this one. And I always make a joke because when I ran into Andrade and Charlotte Flair, Andrade didn't know what salsa water was. I overheard Charlotte Flair like explain it to him. This is salsa water.
I wonder why they got divorced.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, and so we make a joke of this. A friend of like my group of friends, we always make a joke. Because Andrade's response was salsa.
No, I got a funny story then. So I've been lucky to meet a lot of guys and travel, and we've talked, I'm sure, about it. And so I used to do back in the day. I used to do a wrestling road trip in the summer. Try to hit 2 or 3 shows, like pay-per-view, Raw, SmackDown. So after the SmackDown, I flew from Dayton, Ohio to Chicago. It's a quick flight. It was the day after a SmackDown, so it was a SmackDown roster. And Dayton Airport is small. And it's one way in, one way out.
Right.
So all the wrestlers have to come through the same security as me. I was there before them because if I'm not in a flight 3 hours early, I start to like twitch.
Right.
So I'm at the Chick-fil-A right in front of the security. I look behind me, I see wrestler after wrestler after wrestler. And I'm like, I'm not bothering them. I'm tired. And it's like,
right. Yeah.
I can only imagine how they are. So I went to get a refill at my Chick-fil-A and I said, unsweet tea, please. And I hear a voice behind me go, unsweet. I look to my right, and this story's been famous for, not famous, but like people know me. It was AJ Styles.
Oh, the fuck.
And I looked and he goes, unsweet? And I was like, yeah, it's one of the only things I drink at the time. And he goes, man, I'm from the South, man. We never drink that. His accent's much thicker.
Right.
And I started laughing. I said, I'm from the South too. And he goes, really, where? And I said, well, I went to school in Tallahassee. And he goes, all right, that counts. I said, I live in Fort Lauderdale now. He goes, that doesn't count.
That doesn't count.
That was pretty much it. He walked away. And like later on, you know, knowing Gallows and Anderson, when I told him that story, because obviously they're tight with AJ.
Right.
AJ doesn't just talk to people randomly like that. Like he had to want to.
Right.
And but they were all, so many of them were on my flight that day. Hanging out on my flight that day, I kid you not, it was a small little plane.
Yeah.
Carmella, James Ellsworth, Daniel Bryan, may he rest in peace, Luke Harper.
Wow.
Mike and Maria right after they debuted. It was like 8 of them. And
oh wow.
We're about to board the plane and Daniel Bryan sees me and I always, let's say I'm in group 4 and then just finishing group 3, I kind of try to push my way up. So
right.
Group 4. That's what a travel tip for everybody.
Right.
Be the first one in your group because you have the best chance of overhead space. So Daniel must have gone get some water. He was a group ahead of me, group of 2. And he sees me and he goes, oh, you're ahead of me. I said, actually, no, you're a group ahead of me. He's like, "Oh, thank you, man." And then I said to him, like, I met you a couple of years ago in Miami at a convention. He's like, "No way, how you been?"
Right,
Comes up,
right.
shakes my hand. He's like, "Where are you headed to from here?" I said, "Actually, I'm spending the day in Chicago. I'm going to." He's like, "That's awesome!" Like, and I've learned, man, like having an interaction like that
Yeah.
is so much cooler than an autograph or even a picture.
Yeah.
Because it shows you actually met them if somebody asks you.
Right.
But like that day at that airport, I saw Baron Corbin, and Baron I got to know from the NXT days here when I used to go to the Fort Pierce shows all the time. And he was
Right.
holding the Money in the Bank briefcase right after he won it.
No way, really?
Yeah, he was literally holding it at the airport because they always had to use that as carry-on. If you won the Money in the Bank briefcase, it has to be carry-on. Because how are you going to check that in?
Oh, that's a way to. Yeah, that's a way. Yeah, hey, it's empty.
You can't check it in because if they lose it, you're screwed.
Right.
So I remember seeing
Holy
saying,
cow.
like, I hated that thing because people knew I was a wrestler every time they saw me.
Yeah.
He had it for a while, and Rollins too.
It's funny. I don't know if you saw the video.
He goes to me, "Please tell me you were there when I won this." He was so happy, and I said, "Yeah, man, like so happy for you."
That's awesome.
Yeah,
but it's funny that you mentioned wrestling travels because I think the video just came out of oh man.
Well, you saw Bronson Reed's tweet yesterday?
No, I didn't.
And I'm glad he said this. Now he could be a troll.
Oh yes, about being approached. Yes,
approach is okay. That happens.
Right, about the signatures of signings, right?
You have a dad who uses their kid to get,
and it happens a lot. That happens because you know what it is.
And they know the kid is not on his own saying, "Let me take out 12 Funkos."
I'm like, it's not organic, and
they're using the kid, and that's why Cardona said I have to start saying no to the kids because I know.
Yeah,
but like they hand them a box. I kid you not, a box, not a box. I'm sorry, cardboard paper.
Yeah.
What they do is they take the Funko out and put the
they flatten the Funko box.
They'll hand them 14 on one cardboard paper.
Yeah.
And say sign all these.
Yeah. Yeah.
WWE had to step in finally and said stop signing. And then you saw the people who like Rey Mysterio almost missed a flight, or he did miss a flight.
Right.
Biggs. Yeah. South stops at Georgia. I don't know what he's talking about there. My friend John. Big C, what's up, brother?
He's probably referencing what AJ Styles, where he's like, all right, Tallahassee, yeah, we're cooked, but Fort Lauderdale doesn't count as the South.
Yeah.
Well, I'm from New York. It's all South to me.
There you go. Exactly. My whole family's from New York, so I get it.
But I understand it, because it's like they go, oh, you're from up north, and I never heard of that until I moved down here. And it's like, oh, I didn't. Yeah, we are technically up north.
Real quick shout out to my boy Caesar. Man, he did a 3.5 hour live stream yesterday during NHL free agency with his boys.
Wow.
Impressive. They did a great job. They covered things. They even broke some news. So great job on that yesterday, Caesar, man.
Good job. Look, man.
I do an hour on this sometimes. So
look, like just tapping into the, and I don't want to cheap plug it.
Please,
here at the Ozone, it's hard, and we cover everything. We're covering, obviously we cover a lot of New York sports, but we tackled the NBA free agency this past week, and our new episode is up now on our official page.
Nice.
And it was a lot of work.
I'm gonna put the link to the Ozone Show in the description for anyone.
So just the fact that your boy did 3 hours live.
It was him and
covering everything,
and there wasn't much news.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because now you have to come up with like fluff, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult. Yeah,
he's a diehard Panther fan. Caesar, he's the man. And the day before was the big news with keeping the 3. So it was really quiet.
I know you guys did like a re-sign, right? I'm not that familiar with hockey like that, but you guys just re-signed one of your players.
All three. We had all three.
But isn't one of them a little older, and he got like a 6-year deal?
He's 37. He got a 6-year deal, but
is that normal in hockey? Is that like to sign someone 36?
Who's to say who say they finished the deal?
Got it. Okay.
Who's to say? It's not. I mean, I'm sure.
So
they also know his health because he was here for that much of the year, so they know what kind of conditions he's in.
Right. So to say I'm a casual hockey fan would be disrespectful to the casual fan. So I want take your Panthers hat off just for 1 second, right, Jeremy?
I don't even have it on.
All right.
I don't even.
So disregard the championship banners you have behind you, and give me a realistic evaluation. Doesn't have to be long, or just a realistic evaluation of the New York Rangers, because that tends to be the team that I root for. If they're in the playoffs, go Rangers. But I know last year we lost to you guys.
Last year, yeah.
Last year, this year didn't even make the playoffs. So what is it? Are they going to be good? Are they projected to be
hockey. Good? I mean, hockey is so strange. A team can sneak up on you one year.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying they're a top 2 or 3 contenders. Caesar's the one to ask here. Caesar, if you're listening, man, what do you think of the Rangers? John, if you're listening, what do you think of the Rangers? They probably have some work to do. They look like they're in rebuilding mode.
Oh, okay. So it's going to be a long year.
Yep, I was right. My friend John said it. Amazing goalie. They're in a rebuilding phase.
Oh, got it. I did go to the last.
They were rebuilding, yeah.
I did go to the last game of the season, which was the Rangers and the Cats, and the Rangers won. But obviously, the Panthers, they were playing in their starters and then rested them and played them a little bit.
The second half of the year was rough.
It was just such a good vibe, and I remember leaving, like, a lot of the Ranger fans were hyped, and then most of the Cats fans were like, guys, this is your playoffs. We're gonna win. We got bigger fish to fry. And then when they won, I just instantly thought of that fan that told that Ranger fan. And I'm like, yeah, he was right. I guess they fried that fish.
Yeah, we tried, especially in South Florida. So that was fun talking about wrestling interactions. Like I say, you just treat them like you would treat anybody. I've had people literally, and I kid you not, Omar, and I almost give them I try to give them a double look, but it's a fair question. They say to me, how do you recommend I talk to a wrestler at a meet and greet? What should I say to this person, or what should I say? And I say, what are you saying to me right now? I'm just talking normally. Right. Do the same thing.
Right.
The best advice I give is try to, like my friend John does a good job of it too. Try to talk I'm not you in general. I'm saying talk outside the box.
Right.
Just say, man, I saw on Twitter you're a big fan of this movie. They appreciate that more than saying, "Oh, your match on Raw 2 years ago against Super Crazy was just a banger." Like, it's like. But if you say, "Yeah, man, I saw you like this restaurant here, man. Is it worth going to?" or something like.
Just you talk. They're more likely to probably have a conversation with you after that.
Yeah, they tend to respond much better. Or if they're a big sports fan of a sports team, you say, "Oh, I see you like that team." That means you actually care about them more.
I think that one would be more of a easier icebreaker, you would think, especially because it's something that, maybe it might be a little bit more difficult to notice, maybe a wrestler's favorite restaurant, but obviously, like, for example, CM Punk, everyone knows he's Chicago through and through. Brian Dennison, Seattle, like, you kind of like, so you can create that kind of conversation.
Yeah, and I'm not saying have it scripted.
Right, yeah.
Like my friend John, he wrote this in the comments, man. Here's a perfect example. He'd always wanted to meet Hangman. And what does he say when he walks up to him? He's like, "Yeah, I know you went to Virginia Tech, man. What was it like watching their football?"
Nice.
And they had a cool minute or two chat, and that was it. But I think he said to my friend John, like, "Yeah, I've never been asked that before at a meet and greet."
Wow.
Which is cool.
Wow.
Yeah, but okay. So let's talk. I like that opening, bro. It was fun. This is us at the sports bar. If me and Omar see each other.
Yeah, I tell you, it goes all over the place.
It goes all over. We go hockey, football, but back to wrestling a little bit. We'll try to.
So let's talk. I like to say wrestling.
Wrestling.
I like to say wrestling because I know with Vince McMahon, he just hated the term professional wrestling. So I love wrestling.
He hated the term championship belt.
Yeah, championship belt. Like you said, belt is for you. Holds up your pants. Say, holds up your pants. Yeah.
The strap.
Let's talk wrestling. That's what the segment's called on the Ozone. Yeah. Let's talk wrestling.
Love it. So Night of Champions took place over the weekend. I can't say I watched it start to finish. I watched the Cody Orton match. I thought it was excellent. Now, they could have a bad match, and I will say it's good because I'm on those two. But excellent match. You're right. Your wife is right here. Sports entertainment.
She is Team AEW through and through. She was the biggest Cody Rhodes fan, and when Cody Rhodes jumped ship, I said, "Babe, that's the business. That's what makes wrestling fun."
They ran him out.
the 90s was fun when guys were in WCW, WWE guys, WCW, vice versa. I remember when the Radicals were sitting front row, and you're like, wait a minute, what is? Can we say Chris Benoit? I guess like Benoit, Guerrero, Malenko, like what are they doing here? Like
when Lex Luger showed up on Nitro,
Luger, like like
Rick Rude showed up.
Rick Rude was in the same night.
Raw and Nitro on the same
night.
Yeah.
I love Rick Rude because Rick Rude was one of the first wrestlers to back Bret Hart during the screw job controversy. Rick Rude, he cut the promo. He cut his promo in WCW.
About Rick Rude behind the scenes.
What was that?
It was like I always knew he was. They always talked about how great a worker he was, and that Ultimate Warrior owed him like his money that he got paid because Rick Rude carried every one of those matches. But they talked about how loyal of a family guy he was. How loyal of a friend he was. Like, he's one of those rare guys that no one had a bad thing to say about. And they said he was super quiet, super nice. But once the light went on, he knew how to just, like...
Oh, he was one of the nastiest keels.
But in person, like, Bret Hart in his book, he always talks about Rick Rude like that. And he's like, I used to leave my kid with Rick in the back.
Yeah.
Like, if I had to go wrestle.
Yeah.
I mean, they like said, like, you don't understand how good of a dude he was.
Yeah, Mercedes is having a heck of a match right now with Maria. I don't want to botch her last name. Tawazama.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So
That was a great match.
What you did or didn't see at Night of Champions, regardless, what did you think about it?
It was what it was. At first, for a split second, I thought it was King of the Ring because they kept promoting King and Queen of the Ring, King and Queen of the Ring.
Inside
and it's like, oh, it's Night of Champions. Oh, it's actually Night of Champions. Okay, how many titles are defended on Night of Champions? 1, 2? Like, wait a minute. Isn't Night of Champions supposed to be all the titles on the line? So, I'll say this. I didn't like the main event. I thought the main event, although I'm a big Cena fan, I like CM Punk. I think we shouldn't take for granted their time that we have with them. We know Cena's ending it at the end of the year. But I just think
that
I didn't think the match went not to my liking. I thought it was a little too slow for me. I have to rewatch the Cody match.
I'm sorry, they're 48 and 46. I mean,
yeah, and a buddy of mine, he had hit me up, and he's like, yeah, bye, Cena, bye. A buddy of mine had hit me up, and he's like, Punk has had great matches, and I'm like, yeah, but look who he's been in the ring with.
You're talking about in WWE?
No, like just in his last couple years, even from his AEW run to his run in WWE with McIntyre and Seth and
that match with Seth on Netflix, the first Netflix.
Yeah,
I thought it was one of the best matches.
Yeah, and I'm like, but you gotta
can't go like he used to.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And
it's better for him to be a heel because he can work a slower pace.
We can, yeah. And the thing with Punk is like, I'm like, yeah, but I felt like he wasn't the lead guy in those matches. Like, you have a Seth Rollins to, I'm pretty sure they were quarterbacking the match. You know what I mean? I just felt like that way. So that match didn't do it for me. I have to go back and watch the Cody match.
My thing is, their build-up was so damn good.
No, the build-up was phenomenal.
Right. That's
the
why
build-up's phenomenal.
That's why if the build-up is that good, then you really don't care who goes over. I think Cena's pipe bomb was one of the best promos this year. And
so
Punkonomics.
So I watched your show last week, and a buddy of yours that he was on the show, he had mentioned that he wasn't too crazy about Cena's pipe bomb.
Yeah, I loved it.
Right, and initially watching it live, I agreed. I'm like, stop it! Like, I did it. I had to rewatch it again.
Good.
And when I rewatched it, and then now people pointed out to me the similarities, from the original pipe bomb, even from the actual match. The match was R-Truth and John Cena, like everything. It was just parallel to the original. And I'm like, oh, this was great.
It was gold.
This was great. And then I loved Punk's Thugonomics. You know what I mean? Like I Punkonomics. Yeah, I loved it. Like I loved one of my favorite lines in, I guess, promo line or whatever in wrestling. I loved when CM Punk always, when he told John Cena, he's like, "You're everything you hate. You're no longer the Red Sox. You're the Yankees." And it's like, oh, like, you know, like you tell someone from Boston that, Jeremy, like,
yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? So if, like, obviously, like, maybe if you're not from up north, but I've always, and you notice he always referenced, I believe Punk referenced it in a promo recently where
funny. Cena's not even a Red Sox fan anymore.
Right. Oh, is he? Does he even
watch my friend years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so you know, he referenced Cena as a Yankee. The build-up was great.
You're not just TKO guy, you're Mr. TKO.
Yeah,
he used to call that the Cena. Like, it was so good, man. And then the Punkonomics was great. I don't know, when everything is so good like that, it's hard for the match to be as good.
Yeah, and I think it's what you said. Obviously, you know, Father Time is undefeated, Jeremy. You know what I mean?
And you know Cena ain't losing the belt for a while.
Right. And like I said, I don't think it was more the results, because like you said,
I didn't dislike the pipe bomb as much. I'm sorry. His issue was with Punk all those years saying, I would never go to Saudi Arabia. I would never go to Saudi Arabia. Blah, blah, blah. He's always said that. I'm not saying he should or shouldn't.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like,
I'm going.
I'm going there.
Yeah. So we discussed that on our show this past week, and my co-host said the same thing.
And with Sami Zayn, he always said he wouldn't go.
And my co-host was more on, he thinks it's unfair that Punk is being maybe one of the only wrestlers that's getting outed for having an opinion on wrestling in Saudi and actually going
he also showed up at a protest a couple days before.
Yeah, he did.
So it's like, you're protesting about this,
right?
Whether that is or isn't the case, we're not going to get political,
right?
But then you show up in Saudi, and it's like,
I get company guy, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, money talks.
Ryback is actually defended CM Punk on Twitter too.
Listen, man, money talking is undefeated too.
Yeah. Well, overall, I thought the show was okay. The thing that with the Saudi shows is just more the time. It's a Saturday, 1 o'clock.
I like that
kind of thing. You?
Yeah, why not?
I'm more of a.
If you're a West Coast guy and it's starting at 9:10, I get it.
Oh yeah, I love like when it's at. I love when it's like 5, 6 o'clock.
5's great.
Yeah, you know, but the 1 o'clock, like, that's why I missed it. I had to run an errand, and it was right before the Cody and Orton match, and
same here.
That was the one I was looking forward to the most.
Right.
But I think, you know, looking back, I did catch the Rhea Ripley match. I enjoyed that match with Rhea Ripley and Raquel. I thought them women they threw it down. You know, great street fight. Like, you know, I think
them for doing it in Saudi. I'm not saying Remember the first 1 or 2 Saudi shows, no women allowed.
Yeah, so, and they had 2. So because they had.
So you've gone from 0, they can't even come to.
And now they made the announcement about the Royal Rumble. So now you're gonna have a full-blown women's Royal Rumble.
Yeah, you're right. I don't even think about that. I'm not thrilled about that.
I'm not either.
I think that's one of the big 4 sacred ones, and Triple H has always made. And when I say big 4 sacred, I'm not saying it has to be in the US. If it was in Toronto or London,
right?
But what I'm saying is, Triple H has done a great job of making pay-per-views, the PLEs, especially the big ones, destination events.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at what you had in Indy this year. Look what you had in Tampa the year before. Saudi, you've basically told your American fans and everybody else, man, we don't care if you come or not.
Yeah.
And you've already just did a switch on Mania, which I don't care about, but I think that's enough with this stuff.
Yeah,
Rumble for us now. Like, all right, fine, have a champion.
About that. Yeah,
have a second WrestleMania. I don't care.
Yeah,
Rumble.
Yeah,
that's one of the sacred ones.
Like, that's the big 4. That's the big 4.
Big 4. It starts the road to WrestleMania. It's a destination event now. They had the convention. They had an access type show last year.
Right.
You had the WrestleCon, like all that stuff that made the Rumble so great under Triple H. You're throwing away to take that Saudi money.
Yeah. We spoke about
I
it
saw
on our
that
last show.
advertisement and my jaw hit the ground.
Yeah, we spoke about it, and I basically said the same thing you're saying now. I thought that the Big Four should stay where fans can go.
Yeah.
You know, either you're gonna do it in the States, you do it in London, Canada, you know what I mean? But the fact that now you made it you made it unavailable for people to attend. Arguably, maybe you can outside of WrestleMania, Royal Rumble's. If you could compare the Big Four, Royal Rumble's probably second. Some may argue Royal Rumble's number one for them.
Some might argue SummerSlam. I get it.
Yeah,
I like the Rumble more.
I prefer the Rumble over SummerSlam.
Rumble's that one event every year. You just really don't know.
Yeah, because Royal Rumble can always kickstart something. You know, like if you had you know, a story going one way and it's just not working out. Like Royal Rumble was just always the greatest pivot. If you know someone's getting hot organically, you can just, you know what, let's put the Rumble on this guy.
Like they did with Sammy a couple of years ago.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And you can do that.
He turned on the bloodline. I saw that. I was like, all right, this TKO thing now. Like I've had their back.
Yeah.
The product's been great. Even though it's cooled off since Mania, but I guess that's to be expected.
Yeah, it's always a down. It's always like a little down period, like after Mania.
SummerSlam kicks it back into gear,
right?
And then it slows down. You hope Survivor Series kicks it back into gear,
right?
So
speaking of argument, really quick, can we let your audience know about what we got going on for SummerSlam?
Yes. Let's do it now and at the end so they don't forget.
Yeah. So here at the Ozone, we're gonna have a jam-packed SummerSlam preview show. We're gonna be previewing night 1 and 2, and we're gonna have our very first guest. And I can't think of anyone else other than Jeremy from the Rock and Roll channel, baby.
I got the call last week.
Yeah, so so Jeremy will be on our show, the Ozone, next month. We're gonna be previewing night 1 and night 2.
Yes,
because now it's 2 nights now
of
SummerSlam.
I like that.
I'm gonna be honest. What's SummerSlam? That's funny. What did Jeremy Piven say? Summerfest. Do you remember when Jeremy Piven when they were doing the guest host every week? Vince McMahon, and he called it Summerfest or something. Yeah, Summerfest. I'm gonna be honest. I wasn't crazy about the 2 nights because I felt like I loved it with Mania. Loved it with WrestleMania. I've always felt they should have done 2 nights.
Going to start to do 2 nights as well.
And I just felt that's what made WrestleMania so special. It's 2 nights. It's something that you don't do with any other show.
I see.
So when they did it with SummerSlam, I'm like, what's going to make SummerSlam then any different from Mania? Because you're going to have outside of the Hall of Fame, I guess, you're going to have everything that WrestleMania has. It's gonna be done for SummerSlam,
right? But the fans are there anyway.
Yeah,
we're having it 2 nights. It's not like they're.
Oh, you don't think you don't think WrestleMania loses the lore a little bit? No, okay.
No, I don't. It's still Mania.
Yeah,
like people would say the same thing before when they would say, "Oh, WrestleMania loses its aura because the show goes on too long." Right. But deep down, it didn't. I like it because think about it from this aspect, from a fan aspect. When you do 2 nights, you can really push some matches you couldn't before.
True, that is true.
I'm not saying that always happens because WWE, the problem for years was the top 2 or 3 storylines drive every show.
Right.
Now, let's have more. That's why I liked AEW in the beginning because every match had its own big meaning and significance. They got away from that, but that's what WWE needs to do on these 2 night shows. And it's worked for Mania. We're talking about matches on Mania in a much higher level than we did.
Yeah,
we would have ever before.
Yeah, I think they really this year's Mania was cool. I thought
with the Seth Rollins, if they did 1 night of Mania with the Seth Rollins, Reigns, Punk, and the Paul Heyman turning and everything. Have been as good if it didn't close a night out?
Right. Probably not.
Not as good.
Yeah.
Really good,
Yeah.
But we're not talking about that match. That match in general was a match of the year.
Right.
So
And I
don't know.
really how they utilized the 2 nights. I loved how they did it last year in Philly, where the main event stipulation,
Right.
affects the main event for night 2.
Yeah, and
I love that. That
I
I
was waiting
love.
for that this year. I thought with Seth
Yeah,
Rollins,
I was,
I
and
think
I
he's
kind
gonna
of
get
hope they
involved.
get to that again. I hope they get to that where
You can do a carryover effect.
yeah, you know what I
like-
mean. I love that part.
Yeah, this year I thought Seth was gonna get involved somehow in Cena and Cody.
I think we all did, right? Like,
I was there saying, "Oh yeah, and nothing."
Yeah, that was a fart in church, man.
Yeah, if they just do it, I mean, it's very simple. They do it because they want to have bangers both nights, versus we just want to get more money. You'll know the difference right away.
Yeah,
they'll argue with you. Well, Survivor Series is going to be at Petco Park in San Diego.
Oh, so John, we missed John's comment. I think she's still hosting. I think they actually posted. They did post something with Cardi B. I think she's still going to be
She got booed.
The host.
Booed when she came on.
She should. I don't even think she watches the product. Like, it's some celebrities that it's because like
wrestling fans are very particular about that stuff.
You know
Are
what?
you a fan or not? That's why you love Bad Bunny, because he actually did the work to be a serious wrestler.
And he grew up a wrestling fan.
Besides,
you know what I mean?
When he got in the ring, you could tell he took it seriously.
And he took it serious, right? Yeah. He took it.
And same with Logan Paul. Say what you want about him.
Logan Paul. Yeah, I always said Logan Paul. Hate him or love him.
Athleticism.
That guy's good in the ring.
He's good. He's good on the mic.
Yeah, like he gets it.
He does.
He gets it.
He does. But he took it seriously.
And
wrestling fans can tell real quickly.
Yeah, and he keeps it legit. Like even outside, like he's because is what Stone Cold said, right? Stone Cold said the greatest character is yourself, just turned up.
Turn the volume up. Yeah,
just turned up, and that's from Logan Paul. You get it from guys like MJF. Like you know what I mean? It's just they're just turned up. They're not playing the character. Kevin Owens. Not to get sidetracked, but one of the guys that I've always felt like he feels like he plays wrestler, and I just like this is why it doesn't click. I've always felt Lance Archer was that. When I watch Lance Archer, is like you just look like you're playing a character. You
meet him, he's super nice.
He probably is.
Yeah,
but it's just like everybody dies. It's like, bro, no.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm so sorry.
My friend,
and I loved him with Jimmy Rave and TNA. Like I always thought, man, this guy
is a great worker.
Guy looks like Test. He looked like Test. He would come out in the leather pants. You know what I mean? But it's just like I loved him with Jake because Jake did his promos, and you know what I mean. He was the menacing guy, but then I just always felt like when he's trying to cut his promo, it just always felt like he's playing wrestler.
He'd be much better in WWE. Because he'd have much. Guys,
but he did have a run in WWE at one point. I think he was part of the ECW.
Really?
Yeah, when they did
he had a great run in New Japan.
Yeah, well, that's what followed his WWE run. Yeah, like once he got released in WWE because he was part of the whole ECW, and when they made it a brand.
Yeah.
He was there, and then
he's one of the guys that everyone has respect for, which I always listen to as well. But speaking of Lance, man, thank you for the segue. Yeah. AEW All In has their pay-per-view coming up. I'd be remiss if have you kept up with the product at all? Because I have.
I watch it. I watch AEW. Okay. I think there's some work that can be done with them. But I watch it. I'm not crazy about the whole Death Riders thing. That's Moxley's faction. It just doesn't seem.
Run its course to you?
What was that?
Has it run its course to you?
It's been running. You know what the thing? All right, this is and I'm gonna always sorry if I'm going back to
no, don't ever apologize, right? Man. Just be yourself.
So. What made the NWO work? Obviously, we're not talking about just the talent. Obviously, I'm not even trying to compare the talent. But what made the NWO work because it was that one group that just tried to overtake the entire company.
Okay.
Yeah, they had little factions in between, but also those little factions still try to feud with the NWO. Like, no, you're not going to take over WCW. No, you're not going to poison this company, right? You see that John Moxley and the Death Riders have basically hostage the title. They're trying to take over the company, and you have the Hurt Syndicate. You have all these different factions, and it's just like, yeah, we're gonna let you do that because I want to feud with
factions.
I want to feud with AR Fox and these guys. Like, what sense does that make?
I agree. It's a great point.
What sense does that make? Shouldn't you want to? These guys are trying to hold the company hostage, and you're worried about that. I just
and only one or two guys care about it.
Yeah, like what? Like, and if anything, if you wanted to have a faction that was going to try to take over your company, maybe it should have been the Hurt Syndicate. Maybe it should have been, you know what I mean? They're the faction that's actually over.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm glad you said that because my issue is it was like Tony gave MJF a huge bag to stay, an insane bag. We don't know how much, but obviously a big bag with no plan in place for the guy. It's like 1 week, yeah, we'll have him argue with Jeff Jarrett. Now this with the Hurt Syndicate. It's like,
and I'm gonna be honest. Sometimes you get an idea of maybe this might be the direction they're going or whatever. I don't know where they're going with that. I don't know where they're going with that.
To be a valet for these guys.
Yeah,
I know he wrestles too, but you know what I mean. Like,
and
it's the best storyline they have going. The Hurt Syndicate.
No, yeah, it is. That's why I think
had a golden opportunity at All In Texas. Ospreay, Moxley. We haven't seen it yet. Ospreay's paid his dues. It's his time. And you give us Hangman Moxley that we've seen 17,000 times.
Okay, so Jeremy, this one I'm gonna have to disagree with you on.
Please.
So we just spoke about pivoting, right?
Sure.
I think the plan was to always have Ospreay have his WrestleMania moment, his all-in moment. I think Hangman and Swerve's feud, which has been one of the best in AEW. They haven't had many. Now I know that's probably not saying a lot, but their feud propelled Hangman so much that I think the crowd's behind him. Crowd's behind this Hangman. This is not like cowboy shit Hangman. This is a different Hangman that we've seen at his lowest lows, where he's this crazy guy, and
even when he was champ, he wasn't over.
Yeah, you know what I mean. No, he wasn't. Yeah. And but he was over before he got there. The build, I felt, but I just think AEW doesn't know how to book babyface world champion. They don't know how to book babyface world champions. I don't think they do. Yeah. That's why if you look at it, their most successful ones were heels.
You can't go by Mox as a babyface because during COVID.
Exactly. But like Kenny Omega heel run, it was great. MJF, Jericho, heel world champions. Tony does great. But I think
Swerve was good.
Yeah. But Swerve was kind of like that hybrid. Swerve is
the only guy in AEW that ended up becoming a top guy organically.
Yeah.
And that Tony couldn't deny.
And I think with Swerve's run, it helped Hangman. That feud helped him.
And
when they got out of it,
Joe also gave him more credibility.
Right. When they got out of it and they kind of formed that mutual respect for one another, but still like, I don't want you to succeed or whatever. I think like
I burned your house down.
Exactly. Like you basically seen Hangman rise from the ashes again. And I think a lot of people are behind him. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe he is the guy now to dethrone Moxley.
Yeah.
But I think we could both agree on this. Moxley needs to lose that All In.
I agree.
Yeah, I think.
I don't mind the long, drawn out heel run.
Yeah.
Working. And it's over.
Right. Look, Roman Reigns.
And it felt like nothing.
Right.
So good.
Yeah.
Mox is just, I don't know. It's just not, it hasn't hit in a while. The dude needs a break.
Yeah.
Needs a break.
I agree.
I dare to say change of scenery.
I
think he needs to finish his career in WWE with Rollins and Reigns and have a little farewell.
I think Mox is going to, when you look at the end of the day of his career, I think he's gonna have a Kurt Angle like career in the sense of we always view like Kurt as a WWE guy, but if you look at his actual career, he
Yeah.
spent more years in TNA than he did in
Until his comeback.
WWE.
Until his
Until
comeback.
his comeback.
Yeah.
But most of Kurt's prime years,
until he came back in 2017,
was a TNA. You know what I mean? And
that's why
I think
AJ Styles
Moxley
in WWE
Yeah.
longer than TNA.
Yeah, and I just love that old TNA. I always view AJ Styles as a TNA guy.
I know.
He's always gonna be a TNA guy.
Yeah,
He hurt my heart when he said the other day that he would never come out to his old TNA theme, and I'm like, what? Get ready to fly. I love that theme. Love it.
They asked him that because
they asked him that. I'm like, oh my god, you're killing me because I like what up, you know.
I don't know if you're friends with this guy or not, Wicked Zeus.
Yeah.
He made two great things. When we were talking about AEW, he said better matches, crappy stories.
Yeah, he gets
that's
it.
Definitely I can't argue that.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time.
He says Mox vs. Hangman is all in Texas deathmatch now.
Oh, they did cut a promo in the beginning, so I got it on mute, so I'm not
broke news here.
yeah. So it's that's down Hangman's alley.
It is, and Mox too.
Oh,
you gotta wonder if the day after he did that whole spike.
Oh Lord, that was gruesome. Oh my God.
You gotta imagine Renee said to him,
"Yeah,
what the hell are you doing?
What are we doing? Right?
What are we doing here?
Yeah,
I will leave here tomorrow. You should." And I'm not speaking for her. I'm just saying she could not have been happy. He was 2 inches from.
Dude, you saw when they tried to get it out, like it looked like a
horror wife
film.
Wouldn't be furious, and I don't even care that she was there.
Yeah,
she had to be livid about that, and rightfully so.
Yeah, that was.
If I was him, I know he signed off on it. Whatever, he trusts Adam. I would have been like, "This is it for me here."
Yeah,
he would never allow this stuff. Well, Mox is kind of crazy.
Mox is he's the modern day Terry Funk.
Lesnar match at Mania went the way he tried to pitch it.
He's the modern day Terry Funk. He is the modern day Terry Funk.
He's done everything he can do in AEW. It's time for him to get his bag, go to WWE. Not that he hasn't got a bag in AEW.
Right. I think he's getting paid handsomely to stay.
Oh yeah, he's the top.
And he just signed. I think he just signed an extension about a year ago.
He had been on handshake deals.
I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he has so much. I think him and Tony have such a great relationship.
Yeah, because I don't think he's like.
Yeah, and in respects to him, I think he would.
Because she would leave.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, with all respect to Moxley, man, I really think he wants to see AEW, become, I guess, the vision that he feels like.
We can't lose more people.
Yeah. I'm telling you, she lost her 2 favorites.
Comes up in December, from what I hear.
So no, Jeremy, I think I want to say I read it maybe a couple days ago that he signed an extension. Let me look it up. Let me look it up. Yeah, I'm gonna look it up now.
We'll do that. So here's what I'm going off of before if you say otherwise.
Yeah.
Because he was on Eddie Trunk's show. Eddie Trunk, if you don't know who he is a music guy. So he was promoting Fozzy there. And Eddie is not a wrestling guy, but he says to him, "Are you still wrestling these days?" And he goes, "Yes, I wrestle for AEW." And he goes, "What the heck is AEW?" And he's like, "All Elite Wrestling." And he's saying, "Who the heck is that? Who watches?" You would have thought Jericho 4 years ago would have been like, "Let me tell you about AEW, based out of Jacksonville. Tony Khan, whose family owns the Jaguars." He would have named like 10 things and how great it was. He kind of just was quiet while he was acting like that. And deep down, he needs to have his farewell in WWE.
So it was more of a rumor. Yeah, it's more of a rumor, but yeah, his contract is up in December. So you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's been quiet about it. I don't think he has the relationship with Tony that he did a while ago. Because Jericho was the biggest proponent of AEW.
Oh, of course, he made it legit.
Quiet and
he made it legit. Yeah.
Like not to get mad at Eddie, but just to say, "Let me tell you what we're about."
Yeah.
He's not doing that these days.
I know Fozzy finished touring, so he's actually available now.
He's available now.
Just wait. You know what? That's what I read. He's just waiting on the right story.
All in.
And
he's gotten terrible stories in the last.
I think with everything you said about Moxley, I want that for Jericho. I want Jericho back in WWE.
I do too.
I
Even
think
if it's 1 or 2 matches, I don't care.
Yeah.
Now he's a different animal. Most guys say I got to get in that Hall of Fame because then for example, when I do meet and greets, WWE Hall of Famer next to my name, I can raise my
100%. Wear the ring, wear everything. Money,
and Jericho doesn't care. And Jericho said, "I feel like a rock and roller. I feel Axl Rose didn't even show up to Guns N' Roses getting in the Hall of Fame."
Right.
Because I kind of want to do that. And I think he cares.
No, I think and then obviously he's the king of reinventing himself. You know what I mean? Right. So Jericho, if he were to come back to WWE, I think he would do a hybrid of everything he's done.
I think he would too.
Everything he's done, the list, the serious suit, like he'll find a way to mix everything up like one gumbo and
one farewell swan song.
Yeah, you know what I mean, and he could still go. He could still go.
That's why you got to imagine he's watching the Cena farewell tour closely. Obviously, that was John's idea how they're doing it.
Yeah,
say if they treat John right and do it the right way with John, that will make me think it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, and I know he's been on record. He's repaired his relationship with Triple H and Stephanie, and it's in a lot better place than what it was before, years ago. So and Triple H, he really does have that Vince mindset in the sense of like, if it's gonna make money, it's good for the business, then why not?
And his attitude for the longest time was, if he went back to WWE, remember when he was deciding when the AEW idea was on the table?
Yeah.
And he said, I knew AEW was different and I could do new things. He goes, if I go back to WWE, I knew first day I was with Kevin Owens once again doing something. But now there's a lot of stuff for him to do if he comes back.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he had mentioned that, right? He's like, oh, they're going to give me the countdown clock again. They're going to do that. Like, it's going to be
list.
the list. Yeah.
And I would have refused to do the list because I wanted to. My boy Sal. What up, boys? My boy Sal.
What's going on, Sal?
What up, buddy? Hope you're having fun in OC. So yeah, he said I would have wanted to not do that, and they would have said that. And he goes, I didn't even care that I couldn't take the list with me because WWE owned the list.
Right.
He goes, I didn't care. So yeah, we've talked about this for a while on our shows. I think it's only right. Tony's not going to let him go back under AEW contract to have a match or two and finish his career there.
No.
At the most, maybe Hall of Fame. I don't know if he does that.
But you know what? I'll give Tony this. Tony, I just think he wouldn't do it now because it wouldn't be reciprocated back.
That's why he wouldn't let Sting do.
And he would, because you look at even before Tony.
He's spiteful also because like they book Saturday Night Main Event.
Yeah, and then now, right now they're starting to run counter programming to his shows. So
isn't that business?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Like if you take that personally, when you came out talking shit when you started, like let's and now you brought their fangs out, and that's not the right group to have that with.
Yeah, but I respect the dog Tony got. I respect it. I got I respect it.
I don't think he has it. I don't.
You don't?
No, because he's too buddies with his employees.
Yeah.
The stories I've heard is the inmates run the asylum there. Maybe it's better now.
Right.
All the horror story stuff you would Jericho even said, man, like the whole Bucks and Punk thing and all that. He goes, no one would have. He goes, it wouldn't happen in WWE, but if it did, nobody would know about it.
Right.
Because it wouldn't have been talked about by the boys.
Right.
Which was interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, they're making good money there. The HBO Max deal has to be paying well.
Yeah.
Amazon Prime is doing their pay-per-views. I just think you kind of cowtailed. Let me get your opinion on this. So AEW All In is starting at 1 or 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
2 our time, 1 Dallas time, because of the counter program.
Right.
Do you think he should have just stuck to his guns and said nope?
He should have stuck to his guns.
Thank you. I think
he should have. You look at if it's like a collision, I'm more understanding of that.
Yeah,
this is your pay-per-view. This is your pay-per-view
that you've rented a stadium for.
Right. This is your WrestleMania, so to speak. You're
Oh,
not
yeah,
moving.
your friend Wicked Zeus makes a good point. Jericho Brock backstage came out as soon as it happened. I understand that. I'm talking about
Good point. Yeah, it did.
but these
So,
were
yeah, when he elbowed Randy Orton and it,
Jericho. But they just got face to face and argued. There were no punches thrown.
yeah.
There were no and the Bucks are also EVPs.
Yeah,
They're supposed to act in a different way than like the average talent there.
you would hope, right?
But Punk also got it at a press conference like a jackass that night.
Yeah.
You would not see that in WWE.
And it's funny, you know what? I used to watch I watched all their scrums. That's the first one that I missed. I'm like, it's been a long night, going to sleep. And that was the one that I missed. Was the see, obviously I watched it back.
Yeah.
The next day because it's blowing up on the internet. But that was the one screen, because that was AEW still ends late. But that's when like these pay-per-views were ending like 12:30, and it's already on. Like AEW pay-per-views are very long. You know what I mean? Very long. So it's like the scrum, and then the scrum usually comes on like 20, whatever. I was just like, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, I remember Florida State played Notre Dame that night, lost a heartbreaker in overtime. And I was
What was that?
Florida State had played Notre Dame that night. Lost a heartbreaker in overtime. I get home and I'm like, I'll watch a little because I'm wired after a game, good or bad. So I was like, all right, we'll watch a little post-game stuff. And some friends had texted me saying it was a great show. Adam Cole debuted, Brian Danielson. So I'm watching that, and then I hear
that was a year before.
That was the same year. The same night that they had that issue with Punk.
No, that was the year before.
No, the year before was the COVID one that they weren't at. It was 2021.
Because remember, Punk, that's when he won the title against Hangman. That's when the whole beef started with the scrum.
That was the 2021, right?
Cole and Danielson premiered at Punk's first.
Oh, you're right. Darby Allin. Okay, so the year after.
Darby, yeah. So the year after. Yeah.
Because he had been there a year and he was sick of the place.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I stand corrected. But yeah, that being said, I remember watching that when it happened, and I heard how all hell broke loose.
Yeah.
But I watched that scrum, and I'm like, F this guy. I am so sick of CM Punk. That's why for me that I'm complimenting his WWE run these days. I'm one of the last people you would have thought you'd heard say.
Right.
And I remember hearing him. I'm like, he's just using this to bury people. And turns out, but I'm saying that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a WWE if Cody Rhodes on a stage was like, yeah, F this guy and F that guy, and
yeah, I think certain things Tony could have done different. I think airing the actual footage bombed. I thought it did nothing.
It just helped Punk's case.
It popped a small rating, but it did nothing. It did nothing to the story because I believe that was an EVP. It did nothing.
Proved Punk's point.
It proved Punk's point because it was like the same week he had the interview with Arawani.
Right, and then they were chanting Punk in the arena, so they're chanting a WWE guy's name in your arena.
Right.
So that was petty moments, and
that one backfired. That one backfired to say the least. But I am excited. I'll say this with All In though, Jeremy. I am excited for Okada Omega. I know this is their fourth. I believe this is going to be their fourth match. I love that they're it's title for title. They're merging the titles together because having a championship that Okada barely defends, you don't even know like the Continental title, and then you have Omega's title. I like that they're just making it one. Like just I'm excited for that match. They're gonna blow the house up. I don't think Omega is capable of having a bad match. Let's just put it at that. And Okada and him, they're just, they just go together. They just go together like so well. Peanut butter and jelly. They're gonna knock it out. Yeah, they're gonna knock it out the park.
I agree. I just don't know why they had to do the whole Don Callis thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what Don Callis has. Don Callis might have something on Tony Khan. I don't know why that guy's still on TV.
Okada Omega by itself sells.
Right.
I have to beat you again. You have to beat me again. I think I'm the best. You think you're the best, and we're in.
Yeah.
We don't need Okada to join his stable.
Right.
To validate the match.
I agree. And Right, and then Takeshita, and like he just said not too long ago, Takesha's the best Japanese. That's over Okada, and now all of a sudden Okada's just like screw the elite because the elite is kind of in between Death Riders and Hangman and that. So it's like, okay, let's just put Okada here.
Right.
And yeah, I agree with it. It didn't need that. It didn't need that.
That's when you went all to be either.
Yeah, the only thing I do like in the sense of that has anything with doing with Don Callis is I do love the slow build of Kyle Fletcher. I think he's going to be a star. I don't know. I just see it. He's got the look. He's got the size. He can go. Mic. He's good on the mic. Like, I think that's the guy that put the team, have him feud with Adam Cole. I know they kind of hinted that way. Have him let Adam Cole get him over. Give him the title, the TNT title. Kind of like what he tried to do with Danny Garcia. I just didn't think it worked with Danny Garcia. I just, you know,
Cole, they have not got the best version of him.
Yeah, and he's another one. He's another one that, you know, since the injury, they had something going well. It just the injury really played the hard part.
Been the Adam Cole that we're
used
to. I think his NXT days and the bumps he took there.
Yeah.
Plus, obviously, everything before, but I'm talking about that time leading into AEW. They got him at like 50-60%.
And I'm gonna be honest, he's a small guy.
He's a lot smaller than he was before too when he got there.
He's a small guy.
I look at him on TV and I'm like,
yeah. Jeremy, have you ever met him in person?
Yeah, several times.
Yeah, he's not a big guy.
No, but even now,
you know, and then taking those bumps, like you said,
he's a shell of himself.
Yeah, that's gotta take a toll. That's gotta take a toll on the body.
20 pounds lighter.
Yeah,
without the muscle. He was never a huge guy.
Yeah,
but he had a presence.
Right.
Now he doesn't have that presence.
No, and it's not working with him and the paradigm and
that's why when MJF made those jokes, there was some truth to it.
No, there was a lot of it. You know what I mean? Oh, look at these guys now. Even
AJ Styles. Now he's put on muscle in the last year or two, but
yeah,
Taz had a great line about him. He's not that tall, AJ. He's what 5'10", 5'11".
Yeah.
But the way he's able to present himself on camera and on TV, he makes himself look 6'1", 6'2", 6'3". Adam Cole used to be able to do that too. He can't anymore.
Yeah, you can ask all my buddies, man. I live by the Vince McMahon philosophy, like the airport test. I do the airport test for the wrestlers. Yeah, man. Like I wanna, I wanna look at a wrestler. I would never want to look at a wrestler and go, "Oh, I think I could take him." You know what I mean? Like, and it's not, like I look at that's. I guess maybe that's just me, man. Like I love like, man, the out of this world kind of guys. And I'm not saying like bringing these big brute football. No, my favorite wrestler is Bret Hart. But it's like what you said with AJ Styles. But it also doesn't look like a guy that works at a CVS.
No, that's why
what I mean. Like that's what I'm saying. Like because if you see an AJ Styles, although he's 5'10", you see it just AJ Styles is a beast of a man too. You know what I mean? You look at him, you're gonna be like, "Oh, this guy's something. He's something."
Yeah, like I would always crack up. I'm talking like 10 years ago, the Roman Reigns jokes. Oh yeah, Roman this and Roman sucks. Roman Reigns comes in the bar. He's probably not the first guy you're starting a fight with.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's just my thing. I but
we do that in football, the airport test and the bus test. We always say, "Oh, you hear announcers say it," and I love it. They go, "Oh, they passed the bus test," where they get off the bus and go, "Oh boy."
Yeah.
For basketball, they use the airport test.
Right. Yeah.
These tall guys.
Yeah.
Continue.
No, yeah. So that's the match I'm looking forward to: Omega Okada, and then obviously Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné. That's their biggest women stars right now. I think the buildup has been pretty good. It could have been better, but I like where they're going. Obviously, you have Mercedes winning every title from damn near every promotion around the world. So, and then her and Tony's probably been maybe one of the best booked women performers in the last couple of years.
She did it organic.
she's done a phenomenal job with the whole timeless gimmick.
And she stayed in character the whole cruise.
Oh yeah, you know what I mean. It
Cool
seems
heck,
natural,
but she was dressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I'm definitely excited for that match. I don't know if it was made official last week on Dynamite, but I believe the Bucks may be going against Ospreay and Swerve.
I believe so.
A tag match. So I think only those 4 matches have been announced so far. But it's going to be a good show. I would say this: AEW. I can't think of a pay-per-view that I've seen from AEW that I wasn't entertained with. I would say that.
I was tempted to go a while ago. Some people I know from the cruise were going, and they were like, "It's going to be a fun Dallas weekend," and I was like, "Okay." I have no desire to go now.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, granted, like Morgan Wallen's in South Florida that weekend, so like it was going to be tough to go. But I remember I was thinking of seeing more because Morgan's here for 2 nights.
Yeah.
See Morgan Friday.
Yeah, he's doing Hard Rock, right?
Hard Rock Stadium. And I was like, all right, I can catch an early morning Saturday flight, make it there, no problem. And then they announced the 1 o'clock time there.
Yeah, they moved it.
Like, man, if my flight gets delayed, I'm missing that show.
Yeah.
Even if it's a night show, I still got some chime. So
right.
I said, I'm not taking that chance. I'm not that
No. And
doing some cool things. They're adding the Starcast that weekend there.
Right.
Doing a party after the show with wrestlers. I mean, you got to pay for it, but you get people not to watch Saturday Night Main Event.
Yeah.
So
all right. So I know that's not on the billing right now. I don't know. But what's I want to get your thoughts. I know you asked me on that. What's your thoughts on the Saturday Night Main Event? Goldberg in Atlanta. Yeah. This is like, and I think this is why Tony, I felt, should have stood with his time. Like, I don't think a lot of us want to see Goldberg. Don't
tell me the best wrestlers wrestle into AEW, and that's your catchphrase, and then your tout. Vince,
you don't move your pay-per-view.
TKO would never say we're starting at 1 or 2 o'clock because
you don't move your pay-per-view. Like I said, I would have been
you're
perfectly fine. Yeah, I would have been. I don't think any
stadium for.
Yeah, I would have understand a pre-recorded tape, whatever collision. Yeah, whatever.
Whatever.
But not your pay-per-view. Not yours, and not even a stadium pay-per-view at that. That you all the chips are all in. No pun intended. All the chips, you know what I mean? And
from weekend.
Yeah.
2 o'clock. Like it's
yeah.
It doesn't hit. I mean, we're old school. We grew up wrestling Saturday night.
Yeah.
In the Armory.
Yeah.
This goes against, like, I'm sorry, you cow tap to the people you supposedly are a better in-ring performer than. But sorry, back to Goldberg, Gunther. I can't stand Goldberg. He was another guy who's a dick. He was cool to fight him, and then I saw him at the hotel in New Orleans. I didn't even say anything, and he gave me a dirty look. He's like, "What do you want?"
No,
God. Screw him. I heard a rumor, and it makes sense. I don't know if you heard it on my last show, that one of the reasons he's doing this match is, besides the fact he wants to have his last match, it's help his son get an NIL deal.
So his son already made it clear that the WWE is a backup plan if he doesn't make the NFL.
Right. So Goldberg doing this kind of he's making connections there that he didn't have before because he didn't know TKO.
Right.
His last time there was under Vince.
Right.
So he's opening doors for his son this way there. I respect that.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I have no issue with that.
I don't like
no issue with that.
Off CVS guy. But
I'm just saying, some of these guys look like they come out of CVS. That's all.
A lot of these guys are a lot bigger than you think when you see them.
Yeah.
But that being said, so
that's how I felt when I saw Malachi Black. Jeez,
he's tall.
Chill. It's like what? Like, it doesn't look like that on TV.
Yeah, that's why I don't go by TV all the time.
Yeah.
But I respect that. I just don't think I thought Jey Uso was. They took the belt off him because they wanted to give him a break because he'd been burning the candle on both ends. I understood that, but he hasn't. He's been going ever since he lost the belt. So I just don't like that. I think Jey deserved a longer run. Who knows? There's some backstage stuff with Rikishi and Triple H, and who knows how true that is.
The Rikishi thing is just it's taking. Oh man,
shut the fuck up, man.
Yeah, he does.
Like if I'm Jay, I'm calling him.
Oh
saying,
man, they
"Shut
tweeted
up."
when Solo won the US title.
Right.
They had like, you know, Twitter is just like had like fake Rikishi's like, yeah, that's nice, but he should have won the world title because, you know, he's never satisfied
He's never
with
satisfied.
how any
Yeah.
one of his family members get booked.
Right.
And some of them he makes some good points, but it's like you've done it so much, it's like nobody cares when you actually make a good point.
Right. Absolutely.
Because you've made some shitty points every day.
They
you,
put
you
the
know?
rocket strap on your son.
Right.
Keep your mouth shut. He's in
Yeah.
the best run of his career, making the most money he's ever made. Shut up.
I do think they should have kept the title on him.
Yeah.
And I think it's more I do think it's more because of Goldberg. It's just you want to put Goldberg against the super bad heel, and that's Gunther, but at the same time, I think it was a mistake. Jay, but I also know like and you know this, like WWE's theory of, you know, because they've done it with Taker for a lot of years. Like he's so over, he doesn't need the title. He doesn't need the title. He's over. Like, you know, and
Yes,
still
John Cena was like that.
Yeah, but everybody's yeeting, man. Have the title on him.
John Cena, remember John Cena for years? He was in main events over a WWE title match.
Yeah, 100%. And it's just like, man, like give him that run. You've already gotten a heel kind of, you know, part-time champ. Put the baby face. Have, you know, everybody's eating everywhere. You know what I mean? Like he's telling them everything. They could have kept the title.
The crowd's going nuts for him.
Yeah, they could have kept the title on him.
If he needed a break, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, but he's right. It's like we said, but he's there every week.
Yes, he's Saudi. So that theory is out the window. So I just think.
And I'm gonna be honest, I don't want to hear it like with the break thing too. We're in a day and age where world champions are defending their titles like 3 times, 4 times a year.
Yeah,
there's ways to book around. Like Jay wanting a break or something like that. You know what I mean? Like there's ways to work around that now. You know, they're not doing house shows. You know what I mean? Like you can have like a couple weeks where he's just cutting a promo and that's it. And I know the travel is what takes a toll. I get that part. Yeah. But there's ways to work around that now.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? So
the only reason you took the belt off him, and I'm not privy to this stuff, is because of Goldberg. You could have done the Goldberg Gunther match without a title match.
They need a title.
You just
didn't.
Goldberg Gunther, the match we never thought we'd see. Some people it's a dream match, not to me. I'd rather.
I don't know whose dream match it would be.
Ain't mine. His. But you could have done it without a title.
Right. Didn't need it. Didn't
make it a title match to validate it.
I don't think he'll win. I hope he doesn't. Oh my God. I hope he doesn't win.
Now WWE said this is his last match. I think they said it publicly.
Oh, okay,
but
good.
Who knows? TKO, like he does a good number. Hey.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah, they're in the making money business. So
I don't know. I mean, after him almost killing Taker in Saudi that match.
Yeah, that was horrendous.
I don't know if I want him back in the ring.
No.
Now TKO's about that money.
Yeah.
If money, they're in. They need in their mind. They needed to do something big to go against All In. I get it.
Yeah.
And they set it up. They did a long-term story where it was at Bad Blood in Atlanta, where Gunther called out Goldberg.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So, but that just makes more to your point, bro. That they didn't need the world title. There was a story there already.
Right.
There was a story there already. They didn't need the world title.
Atlanta to Atlanta. You got it set.
Yeah.
WWE Hall of Famer, last match. Gunther is the best of this current era, of his size and speed and power.
No, Gunther's phenomenal.
Yeah,
I was a little let down on his title run.
Gunther is the best.
Yeah, I was a little let down on just how his title run was, but that's not on him. That's more booking. But no, he's phenomenal. I don't have a bad thing to say about Gunther. He's phenomenal.
It was like Cena Rock 1. You didn't need a title.
No.
Now, this is not Cena Rock 1. I understand. And if anyone does compare it to that, I want to smack.
Right.
But I'm just kidding. But yeah, so I didn't understand that. Maybe, and who knows? We don't know how much Netflix has a say in creative.
Yeah.
if Netflix really wanted this to be like that, if TKO is telling Triple H, this is really what we want. It's not like the old days where Vince was the final call. Now Fox used to have a say early on with SmackDown.
Oh yeah, big time.
But Netflix has a big say in what goes on.
Yeah,
they're not 100%. Just sitting there showing it for you on their platform.
Yeah,
Slim Majors. I don't know. Is a friend of yours? Oh no, Slim's a friend of mine. It's Mel, my buddy Mel. Everybody, I'm sorry, Mel, and we got to talk sometime, Mel. I'm sorry. What's up, everybody? Why has no one taken the jackhammer for a finisher? Because they don't want to kill him like Undertaker. No, just kidding. What if Gunther beats him with it and uses it from now on?
Ooh. Yeah, I did read that.
Gunther's so old school.
Yeah,
I don't think he would ever want to do a finish that wasn't his own.
Yeah,
that's my prediction. It's a great question, though, Mel. I appreciate it.
You know, the jackhammer is also one of those
and it was done before that.
Yeah, like it's one of those finishes. If everybody can't take it, you know, it's not wise. You know.
Yeah. I mean,
although I think Gunther has the strength where I think he can put anyone on the roster in the jackhammer. Just they took the spear, those Slim Majors. They did take Goldberg's spear. Everybody uses it now.
Your friend John, if that's someone's dream match, they need to go.
I agree, John. I agree. I agree. I don't think anyone has ever I don't even think anyone has ever had Bill Goldberg as a favorite wrestling match, so let alone dream match. Although I'll say this to Goldberg's credit,
to upset Bret Hart.
A dream match, or maybe not a dream match, maybe, I don't know. At one point I would say Goldberg versus Austin was always looked at, hey, you know what I mean? But that was years ago. That would probably be the only one.
Hogan Austin was always,
obviously Hogan Austin was, we
never got that.
But like at that time, obviously Goldberg, bald, black trunks, black boots, he was over. You know what I mean? Like, him and Austin, like, that was almost like, yeah, exactly. But that would be like, that's how like we all viewed like Sting and Undertaker,
right?
You know what I mean? So it was looked at like that. But other than that,
AJ and Shawn,
yeah, Kurt Angle and the Hitman. I know Kurt Angle said that was the one wrestler that he wished he could have wrestled at least once, and Goldberg robbed us of that because I think if he did a stupid kick, it's so many, and they could do it now. I think on WWE 2K now. So.
Video game. There you go.
Yeah, the video game.
Okay, man. This has been awesome. Like we got to do
this.
We'll do it more. And I'm putting him on the spot here. I didn't ask this before, but you're gonna have to come on more during football season and then that stuff, and we're gonna have to.
We got to discuss it. Like, I'm excited about my Giants. My Giants right here. We got one of your boys from. We got Jameis.
I'm happy about that.
I'm cool
Jackson with Dart and Russell Wilson too. So.
You know what I'm saying? So, but I tell you this. Jameis will get more than one start this year with us. I just know for a fact.
But I'm biased there, so.
You know what I mean? I know for a fact. I don't, I think the Russell Wilson thing is just gonna last a few weeks until we kind of realize, but until he reveals that he's just not the same guy.
Yeah.
And I think Dable is gonna experiment with Winston, and then eventually Jameis, and then eventually go to Dart. But I do think that I'm excited though for the defense, the Giants defense front four. You know what I mean? Abdul Carter, Thibodeau, Sexy Dexy, Burns. We're gonna bring the pain to some quarterbacks. He is he?
Brian Burns, yeah.
We're gonna be bringing the boom to a few quarterbacks this year.
But what I like about Jameis going to New York is you saw during Super Bowl, he's just so charismatic and he's great for TV. He's great for that stuff. And we're better to help launch a TV career than New York.
100%. Yeah,
I think that's great for him. But look what it did for Strahan. Strahan's a Hall of Famer and a star. I understand.
Right.
But he's in the right place if he wants to do the TV thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Good way to kind of finish up your career and just focus on that. Because I think Super Bowl, he was loving that.
Yeah, 100%.
That's
But you
why I
know,
was happy with the year for him.
but I'm definitely excited. And hey, man, Jeremy, you want me on, man? I'm on during the football season. Let's
Yes,
rock and
please.
roll. Let's rock and roll, and we'll bring you on. We'll bring you definitely on for the Ozone. We're gonna be covering.
I'm coming. We're gonna collaborate
Yeah,
more.
yeah, we're
Yeah.
gonna cover the football. We cover everything. We cover everything, not just
Same
New
here. I
York.
do the college football. I do the
Yeah,
wrestling, and I do with Big Caesar last week. We did a lot of hockey.
nice.
So
Yeah, I got to start tapping into that, man, so I can really
great
get
too.
familiar with hockey. Hockey's
Yeah.
one sport that I do enjoy watching, and I just like, man, I just
Let's
got to
try to go
like,
to a game this year, man.
yeah, we'll go. I'll
Let's
go.
do it.
I'll go. I actually got a Panthers hat there. I don't. The Panthers and the Dolphins is probably the only Florida teams that I have no smoke with. You know what I
Okay.
mean? The Marlins is just irrelevant. They have nothing to do with the Yankees, and then obviously, as a Giant fan, the Dolphins' success
You're a
doesn't
Knicks fan.
really.
You can't like the Heat.
I don't like the Heat.
How could you?
Yeah, I don't like the
Yeah.
Heat. But Panthers, I've been to a couple Panther games, and like I said, calling myself a casual fan would be disrespectful to the casual fan. So I
There's
would
nothing
wear,
wrong with that. That's
I
a
would wear, I would wear a
perfect.
cat's hat. We'll be at the game, swing a couple cold ones for the working man, and have some fun.
Let's do it, man. So, Omar, I cannot thank you enough for coming on, especially on short notice, man. I really appreciate that too.
No, man, it's my pleasure. My
This has
pleasure.
been a blast. We'll have to talk more often. And
100%.
subscribe to the Ozone Show. I'm gonna put that in the description, and I'm gonna be promoting that. He's got a Twitter page for it, which he's smart for, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna be promoting that as well.
We're everything. We're everything, Jeremy. We're on TikTok. We're on I you know what's funny? I always botch this on my show. So we're on
Wrestlemania.
TikTok. We're on Threads. Yeah, we're on TikTok, Threads, Reddit, Instagram. We're on everything. We have brand new episodes every Monday, 5 p.m. We discuss everything. We're New York sports. However, we have a segment titled Quick Hits that we cover everything around the globe. The hits are so quick, you don't see it coming. As my co-host, super producer Dave goes, you don't see it coming.
Oh, that's great. Oh, my friend
Yeah,
John
he
wanted to add
does
to
it all the time. He does it all the time.
Wilson is a Carroll system guy. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that was a great close, man. They do a great job in their show, and man, it was so good. We finally got this done, man. Been way too long.
And look, man, I'm always on the call. You need me, I'm there.
I'm there too, man. Call me. You need me to come in relief? I'm here for you too. I'm looking forward to the SummerSlam show. It's gonna make me step my game up.
Oh, we're gonna do it. Let's remind it. We're gonna have a SummerSlam preview show next month, but to get the full details, you gotta follow the Rock and Roll channel and you gotta follow the Ozone.
Yes.
You gotta follow both.
Follow us on social media too.
Yeah,
we're gonna be
promoting it. So
we're gonna talk. We're gonna try to get some guests to come on. You never know, a wrestler might pop in.
Yeah. So
throwing that out there, Omar. If we can get,
that'd be great. That'd be great.
We'll be on for a while.
Oh man,
does a run in and says, "I think this."
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
With that.
I gotta talk to my guy, but I think he'll say yeah.
You know the right people. Well, I mean, I'll run it by the management. But Omar, thank you again. Thank you to all the people in the chat tonight. Omar, you brought in numbers, baby. You brought in numbers.
Hey, people love the Ozone, and the Ozone loves it back. And I want to shout out to the Rock and Nose, everybody that listens and follows to the Rock and Nose. You guys were good. Keep following my boy Jeremy. This guy's got the best vlogs because you know what? He's an actual real guy, and he does it because he loves what he does. Not like these YouTubers that they're doing it because it's for whatever. No, this guy is out here traveling, and he's doing the things he loves, and he's putting good content for all of us to see.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. And Omar's told me that like many times, and I always it means a lot. That's what I go for, buddy. So you say that means a lot to me. But everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions after this, put it in the comments, and myself or Omar will get back to you. So thank you. Support the Ozone Show. Rock and Roll and Ozone are like this now. So the link will be in the description. And you got any questions, come. Let us know. Omar loves to talk this stuff all the time, so please. Omar,
Oh,
anything you
yeah.
want to add at the end? Anything you want to say?
Brand new episodes of the Ozone every Monday, 5 p.m.